Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, and joining us, you can't see him, but you can hear him. It's Christian Lundgaard, the driver of the number 30 for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing in the NTT Data Indycar Series, getting ready for the Nashville GP coming up this weekend. Christian, how are you? Good run at Indy last week.
Thank you. No, I'm good. Obviously, just looking forward for another event here in Nashville and see if we can back up a good result as we had in Indy and see how we go on there. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. We saw last year how chaotic the race was. So if we can have another one of those, that would definitely be great.
Yeah. So also, I know that this season has been. Had some ups and downs, and not just with you, but with the team as well. But what did it mean to get a solid run this weekend? And for the team, it was my goodness. If anyone needed that, it was Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing because
no, absolutely. And I think that's it wasn't like I wasn't happy for myself. But honestly, just the relief from the team's perspective and was what really made me happy and satisfied with the weekend, because we knew going into the weekend we were going to have a car that was going to be strong enough to be in the good end of top 10. We had that last year at this event. We had that in May. We definitely didn't execute very well in May, as it was a very chaotic race with the rain and the weather. I felt like in the race we took absolutely every wrong decision we could in May. So just to make up for that and just have a clean weekend, and just get the basics right.
Yes.
And then see where it leads us to. And honestly, I think we did that perfectly well this weekend. So I couldn't be happier for the team, for them, because they deserve it. Have had such a tough start and beginning of the season where just absolutely nothing worked for us. And I wouldn't say we were confused, but we could throw a lot of stuff at it without a big difference. And to come out after Indy with a podium, I think looking back at the race now, I think it was pretty clear that as the race began, there was 3 cars that was going to finish on the podium, which was the 2 Andretti cars and me. We were quite a bit quicker than the rest of the field. So looking back at it then, like that, I think the weekend itself was just brilliant. We executed and we extended our rookie lead, which was obviously important. We got 3 more races to go. Four races more to go. I think 4.
Yeah, 4 races to go. And of course, this is kind of the end of really a stretch for you guys. You've been going at it the last 4 weeks, of course, with races, Toronto, Iowa, Indy last week, and now this weekend in Nashville. Believe this is your first, I believe this is your first time to Nashville, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. I watched the race last year because the second GP was the weekend after Nashville last year. So they basically been swapped around for this year. But I watched the beginning of the race last year. I saw Marcus's accident, watched a couple of maybe 20 minutes more after that. And then I actually fell asleep because I flew in on the Saturday and I was pretty jet lagged. Yeah. So as I woke up to the news that Marcus had won, and I don't think anyone really believed it. But especially for me, I saw the beginning of the race and I was like, yeah, there's no way. He was laps down and he basically spent more time in the pit lane than he did on track. So for him to win that just proves that Nashville is one of the crazier ones. And obviously he came out ahead, and it can go that way for pretty much anyone. We see Will Power at Indy, the strategy and the last yellow came out at the perfect time for him to save his strategy. So you got to be on top of your toes and make sure you understand how the race is going to pan out. So having that podium position in Indy and going into Nashville now, I think it's a benefit for us because we now know we can execute.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, as you mentioned, there's only 4 races after the season after this weekend. Of course, this is the last street course of the year. Then the final oval of the year when you go to WWT Raceway, or as some people like to call it, Gateway, and then 2 road courses out on the West Coast to finish off the year in Portland and Laguna Seca. all different types of tracks coming up here. This is the last street courses I just mentioned. How do you feel like you've done on street courses this year?
I think it's been a bit tough. We started out at St. Pete's, which actually in the end wasn't really a bad weekend. We started sort of behind. We weren't that quick in practice, and we played catch up for the whole weekend. I had a tab with the wall in practice 2, broke a brake line, which set us behind a lot for qualifying. So basically, we just managed to get the car out for qualifying, and I think we didn't transfer, but I think we were the first car not to transfer, and I was very happy with that result, considering the trouble we had after practice 2. But looking at Detroit, it was a very, very bad weekend for the team. We just didn't seem to have pace at all, and that was very frustrating. We found some pace in warm up. We had a piece of tape stuck in the ICU cooling during the race, and on the first stint, and we were on the prime tire, so we were supposed to go along, but we had to even cut it shorter than some of the red tire runners. So that kind of ruined our strategy, and we had to make an extra stop, which ruined our race. But I think the pace was quite okay in the race. We were looking at a pretty decent top 10, so not getting that. I think there's a few weekends this year where I can look back and say we should have finished further up, but I'm sure everyone else has those kind of weekends, right? So looking at the street circuits, I think Toronto was one of our strongest ones for sure. As a team, we were competitive as we rolled the cars out of the truck, and obviously I'm hoping for the same this weekend.
Do you feel, also Graham got a top 10 as well? I know Jack didn't have the best day, but really overall, have you guys been seeing progress with the team this year after a solid weekend at Indy?
Yeah, no, I think Graham always goes forward in the races. I think that's just sort of a thing Graham does. Wherever he starts, he will go forward, and if he starts first, he can't really go much further forward. But I mean, Graham is very, very good in the races, and it's pissed me off a few times this year where I felt like I've done a very good performance in the race, and he still ends up finishing ahead. Looking at Road America, for example, I had the lead the whole weekend in the team, and Graham always end up on top. I mean, it was good for the team overall to get a podium this weekend, and seeing Graham moving 10 places up from 17th to 7th. It's just such a Graham thing to do. So I'm not too worried that we're gonna get a few more top 10s this year, but obviously I'm hoping that we can have 2 cars more consistently up there. But obviously we want to move into being consistently in the top 5, because that's where it starts to become a lot funnier.
Yeah, for sure. This, and of course, finishing out the season strong. What are you most looking forward to out of the tracks coming up?
Honestly, I'm looking forward for Gateway, because I wanna finish the first year driving around in circles. Well, obviously it's called an oval over here. I still call it circles because we just go round and round. But no, I enjoyed Iowa quite a bit. I think the short ovals are, for me, a little more preferred than the super speedways at this point. It's all about feeling comfortable. And I would honestly say in Iowa, I felt quite comfortable in the car, except on Sunday when we had a brake issue. That's never fun to have. But looking at the rest of the calendar, we've got Nashville. Obviously, I look forward for Nashville. But from the rest of the 3, I would say Gateway, because I'd say the road courses I feel relatively comfortable no matter what track it is. Obviously, for me to build more confidence on the ovals will be a preference for the future.
All right. Well, Christian Lundgaard, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. Good luck this weekend in Nashville.
Thank you so much.